Hello, welcome back. So today's video is going to be about critical thinking and essentially, how to improve your, ability to critically think and to articulate yourself. And in particular, this will be very important for any of my students who, are expected to write essays, or for anyone who is writing an essay, how to, elevate your mark essentially. Okay, so this video is going to be all about critically thinking, how to critically think. Now, before we even do that, let's explore, why do students get low grades on their written assignments? Well, typically what I've seen, I've been teaching for a couple of years now. I've looked through a lot of diploma exemplars. What I've seen is that the assignments that get like a satisfactory, so anywhere between like a 50 and 65%, what's happening is that they're essentially just being very vague. They're not exploring the topic in depth. And, it's basically like you're spending very little time ensuring that you're actually exploring this topic that you're expected to be writing about. And beyond just, classroom assignments and like things that you got to hand in, thinking, writing, speaking, they're all essentially the same thing. They're just different mediums. And so if you improve your ability to write well, so, all of a sudden you're writing essays and you're getting 70, 80, 90% and you're not cheating, you're actually doing that writing, what it could suggest is that your ability to think and perceive the world has improved. Your ability to express yourself has improved as well. And all of that is going to help you in your life, in every area of your life. You're essentially talking about your capacity to think and express yourself and to evaluate information as well, right? And those are all very useful skills. So in terms of writing, some questions to consider in order to raise the quality of your writing and therefore your thinking. Some of the questions to consider would be the following. So we'll kind of explore those here. Especially with source analysis essays, why would the artist choose to represent the issue in this manner? So that's kind of adding in your critical thinking. So you see certain images, you see something being represented in a certain format, in a certain medium, in a certain manner. Why do you think the artist chose to do that? Because they did it for a reason. And the better that you can explain that, the better your mark could be. It just means that you understand what's going on and you're able to see things that maybe other people aren't able to see, right? Because the reality is some people, they look at a source, a political cartoon, and they just don't see the same things that other people see, right? Same with watching a movie, right? Like some people are able to catch on to the plot of, mystery movies better than other people, right? And this is that same skill. It's just in a written format. You got to express yourself. You got to write it down. Why are they choosing to represent this information in this manner? What is the main criticism or topic of concern? This is something you'd be surprised a lot of people don't even explore in their written response assignments. They just brush over what is one of the most important parts of the response, right? Like, what is the issue that they're highlighting? What is the criticism, right? So those are two separate things. Like, what is the issue? First of all, identify that. And then two, what is the criticism? So that's essentially like asking and this is part of your task in your written response assignments. What is the perspective of the source, the author, right? So what is their criticism? Are they for this? Are they against it? Are they neutral? What are they advocating for? It's your job as the writer to understand that and to be able to express that in your response, right? And that is a big factor of why people stay in that kind of satisfactory, barely passing range, because they're just not really thinking critically. They're not exploring this topic. Like, what is the issue here? Why is that an issue as well, right? That's something to consider. The knowledge part of it is, who would agree or disagree with the following perspective? Bonus points for why they would disagree. That's very important. That just shows that you understand the material you've been looking at. So this doesn't matter if you're writing for social studies in high school or university, right? You have to be able to look at some of the criticisms of the ideas that you're tackling, that you're interpreting and dealing with. You would have to understand who supports it. And on both of these, you'd have to understand why. Okay, why do proponents of, you know, why do communists disagree with capitalism, right? Like, what is their main issue, right? Why do capitalists disagree with socialism and communism? What are the reasons that they have these disagreements, right? And it's your job to include part of that in your response. What is that doing? It's demonstrating that, oh, this student, this individual who's writing this actually understands. And you can do this real time through verbal expression as well, right? I'm sure you've all gone into an argument with a person and their reasoning was scant. There was very little reasoning, and maybe maybe the argument ended with, well, you're just an idiot. You just don't understand because you're dumb, right? It's like, what do you mean? You didn't provide any evidence to support what you're trying to say, right? So we've all dealt with that in person, right? You have a disagreement. It could be like, who's the best hockey player, right? Who's the best basketball player? And someone says, like, let's say basketball player, they say, like, I don't know, Kevin Durant. What do you mean? And somebody provides all these reasons why Kevin Durant can't be the best player. That's what they're doing here, right? They're giving bonus points for why they would disagree with your perspective of who the best basketball player is, right? And social studies assignments, university assignments, college assignments, it might not be as interesting, right? You might not be naturally inclined to do it, but still it's a process of critically thinking, right? Because there are some people who will just full on say, no, it's got to be Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Luka, whoever. I don't even watch basketball anymore, so I don't even know all the big names, but, LeBron James, obviously, of current active players. But some people will just say that and provide you no reason. They just like the guy, so they're biased. The person who's writing, the person who's expressing the opinion. But then some people will say, well, look at, LeBron. Look at how many points he scored. Look at how many championships he's won. Look at how he improves teams. Look at Steph Curry. Look at everything he does, right? So that's that adding in that extra detail that surprisingly a lot of students just completely leave out, okay? Another question, have you explained why you have the perspective that you have? Okay, so simply, this is what a lot of kids do. They just state their perspective. I disagree with this. Full stop. No reason why, no counter for what could be an alternative, right? So some people just, it's like, that's it. I disagree. Well, who are you? Who cares what you think? Why do you think that, right? From the marking point of view, like, obviously the requirements from an essay, it's like, you do have to state sometimes your perspective, right? Or state a perspective. Typically in social studies, it's to what extent, everybody's favorite question, to what extent, right? So how much should we accept this, right? So you have to provide a perspective. And the best responses, the proficient and excellent ones, they are providing you, some quality thinking behind those perspectives. Oh, we shouldn't do what the source is suggesting because here's XYZ reasons. Here's how this thing went wrong in the past, right? So just like my previous example, it's like, oh, well, here's why, Kevin Durant can't be the best player in the league. Let's say primarily because he's never won a championship, so he's never been good enough to win it all. How could you claim he's the best? And quite frankly, he's probably not even in the discussion. But have you explained why you have the perspective you have, right? So that's providing support to your argument, which is very necessary at all levels, right? Of academic writing, but also, just to have a respectable opinion, to be honest, right? You have to have evidence for why you support something, okay? Have you provided sufficient detail without simply restating the facts? Okay, so I was just dealing with some students today and I had to remind them that, hey, your job is not to just retell history, okay? Your job is to provide specific information about what the issue is. Okay, so I just dealt with a student today, and this young man was retelling historical information. Is it wrong? No, but is he going to get an excellent? Definitely not. Okay, if you're watching this, sorry, buddy. But what I advised him to do was, hey, take these 7 or 8 sentences of you retelling history Narrow it down to 3 sentences, okay? What are the most important details you need to know about this story? And in fact, he was talking about Viola Desmond and racism and injustices in Canada. And from what I recall, we narrowed it down to 1 sentence, was that this individual, so Viola Desmond, was refused the sale of a front row ticket. She proceeded to sit in the front row and was arrested for it. And in addition to that, she was not advised that she had an opportunity for legal representation. Okay, those are 3 very specific, effective details about that historical information that relates to the question that he was exploring. And hopefully it was accurate. I didn't really fact check any of what we were discussing. I just accepted that, okay, maybe he knew what he was talking about. But how do we narrow it down? Okay, that's one problem. But what a lot of people do is they don't even provide details. So it's like, hey, we want to take a lot of detail, right? Let me get my camera angle right. And we want to narrow it down to the important stuff. But some people just do this, okay? They have nothing. It's like, 1 sentence, 2 sentences. What am I supposed to do with that? Okay, 1 sentence responses are not enough at any level beyond grade 7. Okay, you'd be shocked how many kids, grade 11, grade 12, provide 2, 3 sentences to explain themselves. Okay, and I know this might sound hypocritical based on the example I just gave, but how effective you are is important. Okay, so not everyone writes at the same standard. Okay, I've been writing for well over a decade. I've gone through university. I've done a lot on my own as well, and a lot with this YouTube channel, learning about what is important about what I'm teaching. How do I teach in the most simplest manner? Okay, so not everyone's 3 sentences are equal. Okay, but the goal is to provide sufficient detail without simply restating the facts and information. So you're not just storytelling, and without rambling. Okay, because that's what students either fall into, either not enough detail on this end or too much detail and now I'm getting bored. Okay, why am I reading this? Right, that's also something you want to consider. Okay, so with that detail bit, take a look at these 2 examples. So on the left side over here, what do we see? So here's the sentence. Some people would agree that having an all-powerful ruler is necessary. Cool, I'll give you a 50%, if you're lucky. Or if you're really lucky, I'll give you 60, right? It's like, all right, you're not wrong. You are talking about ideological perspectives. This would be something more like grade 12 social studies in Alberta. But again, you look at it, it's too general, it's too vague. Some people, okay, who would agree that having an all-powerful ruler is necessary? Why? Right? So provide some of that detail. Okay, when you look at the right, now they've specified Thomas Hobbes was of the belief that an all-powerful ruler was necessary. Okay, cool. So you've identified, who has the belief? What is the belief? It's necessary to protect individuals from their own corrupted self-interest. So what is the belief and why? Why do they have that belief, right? So we're fully exploring that ideological perspective, right? And that's something that a lot of people miss. And I don't know what it is. Sure, maybe it's my own teaching quality or teaching quality in general. Maybe it's retention. Maybe it's just people are bored, so they don't care. They don't give a damn, right? But the thing is, if you want to get those 80, 90, 100% marks, you have to be the student that puts in that level of detail, that level of care, right? And what is that essentially? It's a reflection of your ability to think critically, to express yourself in a effective, efficient manner, okay, amongst other things. But it's all about the way you think, right? Person on the left, they're just too general, right? Maybe they're just being lazy, right? It's entirely possible. But person on the right, they're being specific about what it is they're discussing and why that person has that belief. And so not only are they able to think critically, they actually understand what they're learning and they're able to express that accurately and correctly, okay? So the majority of essay response assignments can be improved with the recommended suggestions. The point of social studies is to develop your ability to think clearly and to express that clarity of thought, okay? With critical thinking, obviously, right? The point of practicing these essays is basically refining your ability to express yourself, right? Which is something you're going to do regardless. You do it in math, science, social, English, phys ed, wherever. You do it at work, you do it at home, right? You express yourself, you communicate with people, right? And so that's what social studies is about. Learning things, being critical of what you learn. being able to express, what's going on, like why is this wrong or right, and being able to do that in a clear, effective manner, right? So you're not rambling and you're not stumbling over your own words and tripping over your own words to the point where it's awkward, right? Some students lose marks because their communication is so poor. It's like, well, I really don't know what you're trying to get at. You got half an idea here, you got a quarter of an idea here, you were kind of hinting at something here, you tried wrapping it up here, but you're not able to bring it together properly, right? What does that suggest to me? It's like, okay, this person doesn't have clarity of thought, okay? So some of these suggestions that are brought up are, things that are going to help you. So let's say you're at 60%. You're like, hey, how do I get a better mark, Mr. Kawaja? Go watch this video. Make sure you pay attention. Okay, I'll eventually link this to my classrooms. But if you're wondering, like, why did I not get the mark I wanted? Why did I not get the mark I thought I should? Go through your essay and ask yourself, did you do the things mentioned here? Did you look at the perspective? Did you explain your reasoning? Did you clearly and effectively and correctly identify what the problem was in what you're looking at, whatever you're studying, researching, writing about, right? Were you able to correctly identify things? Okay. And then were you able to express that? Okay. I hope this helps you. If it did, like, comment, subscribe, let me know. Thank you. Take care.